Hi, everybody. This is Jim West, Dale Ross, and Chris Hughes, and you're with us on Talking Preps Friday night. Guys, I'll tell you what, this is the last week of the season, regular season. It was a cold one where I live, went to about 10 minutes away from Virginia, and the wind was blowing bad. Chris, where were you tonight?
I was at the house giving away trick-or-treat candy.
Oh, that's even better. You stayed warm. How about you, Dale? You were over in somewhere a little bit west of Charlotte, if I remember right.
Yeah, freezing my butt off at Hunter Huss tonight. Freezing my hands off. Man, was it
I hear you.
Now, for the record, I would have rather been at a game, but you gotta keep the family obligations happy.
That's number one, Chris. Number one.
You got that right. Got that right.
You did the right thing.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just talk real quick about my game. It was a interesting game, to say the least. I watched Carver versus Bartlett Yancey over in Yanceyville, and Carver scores 2 touchdowns. They're up 16-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then after that, it was like a little bit of a momentum shift. Bartlett Yancey scores a touchdown. Carver scores a touchdown. Then Bartlett Yancey scores a touchdown. It's 22-14 at half. And after that, Carver just couldn't stop Bartlett Yancey on running or passing. It was just pure domination. And Carver just couldn't hold it on, and Bartlett Yancey wins 34-30. Got to give a shout out to my buddy Ron Cavanis. Never met him before until tonight, and he was a super nice fella. And it's always good to meet people in North Carolina that love high school football. So he is one of us. So
he definitely loves high school football. I've known Mr. Cavanis for a long time. Long-time high school administrator, and obviously he is a brother-in-law of Coach Russell Stone, who I coached with for a while. So knew that man, knew his family well, good people.
Got that right. So, Dale, I got to ask you, you're over at the Battle of the Bell, but not the one I'm always thinking of. You're thinking about over in Gaston County. Tell us a little bit about that game.
You know, there's several Bell games in North Carolina.
Second, and we'll call it
This was a game that, it's a rival game, and I didn't know what to expect. Got there right after kickoff, so I didn't get to see the kickoff. I got to tell you, first of all, physically, Ashbrook's got bodies. They've got good-looking bodies of kids, and they played really well on defense. But Huss played well on defense as well. Ashbrook didn't generate the offense that I thought they might generate, meaning putting, more points up. They win by 16-0. But honestly, there's a play. I didn't put it in the highlights. You can see the highlights here. There was a play. Huss actually scored, and then flags flew after the score. But apparently there was some kind of a penalty, and I didn't see the signal, and I didn't see holding. I know it wasn't holding. I didn't see the signal, and I say I know it wasn't holding. I asked the back judge, was it a holding call, and he said no, and he said something, but I didn't hear. But anyway, that erased the touchdown. Ashbrook had some opportunities to score, and Huss's defense held them out. That last play there, I believe it was that last play, 74 drove his man. I don't know if you noticed that from the 1-yard line through the back of the end zone. That was this kid played great, and I'm going to try to get him on for Wednesday night. He owned that guy. In fact, he took him about 4 yards through the back of the end zone. And that kid, the D guard, the defensive guard, whatever position he was, he was just shaking his head and yelling at himself as he walked back up, and he knew he'd been beaten pretty badly. Standing on the sidelines, Jim, that 74, he was right there near me, and he just, I don't know, out of the blue said, "How you doing, sir?" And seemed to be a real nice kid. Obviously, I can't talk. I'm not going to talk to him during the game. I just said, "You're a big guy." He's a really big guy, and kind of kept the words soft. But at the end of the day, Ashbrook looks like they've got a lot of potential. And going into this game, I felt like they were a strong contender in the playoffs, and I still believe they are. I don't think beating or only scoring 16 points against your rival like this is a bad thing, as we see in rival games, and we see tonight a lot of close scores in rival games. And this kind of went like a rival game, as you would expect, especially one where one opponent is stronger than the other opponent, Ashbrook being a stronger team. But Huss stepped up and played football. So, Jim, that's it. It was a good environment. I'll say it wasn't the environment like you probably had at Mooresville, Lake Norman for some reason. It didn't feel like a rival environment from the crowds. The Ashbrook crowd did. They certainly turned out, and cheerleaders and everyone. But anyway, good football game. I enjoyed it.
Agree. And when you mentioned Mooresville, Lake Norman, I know that was a very close game. Actually, Mooresville had to come back and win that one.
Yeah, if I could have made it up there, Jim, this would have been I could have made it, but I don't know what time I would have gotten back.
Right.
I don't know, Jim. If you ever get a chance, this is the good rival games were Brown and Concord during the day, Scotland and Richmond. Yes, I know, Chris, that Pisgah and Tuscola. Really big rival games, and this is the Lake Norman Mooresville game is another big rival game.
It has. I mean, since Lake Norman opened up in 2002, I think it was. That game has continued to be a really good game. And you look at the two fan bases and just everything about those two schools, and two phenomenal quarterbacks. I had a chance to see Mooresville, 2 weeks ago, I believe, when they went up to Davie County. Brody Norman's as good of an athlete as it gets. And Lake Norman, obviously, their quarterback is probably got a higher ceiling and will be playing on some big time stages on Saturday here in the next couple of years as well. So two great programs, and I expected nothing less than a 2-point game. And that's just kind of where I thought these two guys were, because it's two exceptional teams this year.
I see Gary just commented and said Mooresville comes back with a huge win, which we know. Big pass play in the end zone with 10 seconds left in the game to seal the deal. I guess Gary was at the game, would be my guess.
And I mean, again, Caden Kraft, quarterback at Lake Norman. I mean, just everybody on that team. And I'm going to pull it up right here. I was actually thinking about this rivalry. I'm going to pull up the stats for it real quick just to make sure I'm double checking. So they played each other 24 times, and Mooresville has won 18 of those 24 times. But if you look at the scores the last couple of years, obviously 21-23, 20-22, 14-0, 14-17, 10-14. I mean, there's been some great games produced by these two teams.
Chris, a lot of our viewers may not realize that Mooresville and Lake Norman are in Mooresville. So, Lake Norman's
in Dooley.
Right there.
I mean,
well, okay.
They are in Mooresville, but in reality,
okay.
they're Yes, I mean technically
Yeah.
you got a mailing address from Mooresville, but I don't feel like there's a lot of Mooresville assimilation to the people that live out there at the Lake Norman area.
You're
Gotcha.
talking about tonight. There was a lot of rivalry games. Obviously, we had Shelby and Burns. Down the eastern part of the state, James Keenan and Wallace Rose Hills played, and James Keenan won 28-21. That is a big rivalry game for two teams that those schools probably have around 700, 750 on any given year ADMs, and you might get 3,500 people watch that game. So really, really good atmosphere down in Duplin County. Maybe we'll get
there was another one in Indian Trail tonight, Sun Valley and Porter Ridge.
I was hoping maybe we can get some of the scores up in the Mecklenburg area here. Sun Valley, Porter Ridge, 11-7.
Rival games. That's not a surprise. That's 11's an odd score.
Yeah,
a field goal, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion, maybe.
Yeah.
Or safety and 3 field goals. Yeah, exactly. Marvin Ridge Cuthbertson. The really Marvin Ridge's rival is Weddington, but those are county rival schools. Of course, Catholic rolled. It looked like Charlotte Christian Latin. Told you that'd be a good game. But I felt like Christian would win that game. There was a comment about not surprised. Now, I'm not surprised Crest won and won big. 70
to nothing.
I didn't expect that.
No chance.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Is that really the right score?
It is. I have done some checking. That is the right score. Wow. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Coach Greg Lloyd at Crest spent 15 years at Kings Mountain. I mean, good golly, there's a lot of ties between that. That's a hard one to. I'm gonna have to get some understanding.
Yeah.
And Forest View, North Gaston. We do have some highlights from that game. Not that it was a big game for highlights, but. We're going to try to be having more of these.
On the board, 7-0 Jaguars.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't understand the first time, Jim, we saw a score when we were going through our scores prior. I knew Forest View had scored.
Yeah.
Forest View is on the board.
Really would have been shocked actually if North Gaston had won at all.
That's a lot. I think, when it comes to reporting scores, a lot of people don't realize that fat fingers come in play. Also, sometimes you hear a score that's wrong and all of a sudden you think it's right. And then you tell other people, and then basically you let the mistake kind of fester.
Or that time, Jim, that we felt like we were getting trolled with the AC Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. Last year when AC Reynolds – they didn't even play, and they had people saying that they were winning these big score games.
Well, tonight on Max Preps, it was 50-0 AC Reynolds in the first quarter, and I knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
See, people, that's the problem with Max Preps is all you've got to do is
one person
be authorized to put in the scores, but you could be a fan. Just one of those fanatic fans and I'm going to put 50 points in here because I don't like the other team. That's
drives me nuts.
What else we got? Anson and Parkwood, 22-20.
I'm going to tell you what, Anson County, and I've seen these guys this year. They're a really good football team in a lot of ways. They're probably the best 2-8 football team I've seen all year. I mean, you go back and look at some of the close losses they had, 14-12 to Forest Hills, close to Mount Pleasant a few weeks ago. That same Hunter Huss team, they were as a 2-touchdown game, 2-point loss to Red Springs, a 1-point loss to South Stanley, a bunch of really good solid programs. I think that Hanson team, I'm glad that they could close out the year on a high note, because I think that they're just a little bit south on the RPI for the playoffs. And as a 2-8 team, you shouldn't make the playoff, but still, I think that that's a much better team than the record would necessarily suggest.
J.M. Robinson, are they the best team in Cabarrus County by far, or?
Yeah, I would say so. I've seen J.M. Robinson, I've seen Northwest, and I've seen A.O. Brown. And while I know Brown's a 7A team, and they're still in that county, I think J.M. Robinson would be a 17 to 21 point favorite on them, easy.
You see J.M. Robinson is maybe one of the top 4 teams in 5A right now.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's kind of where I'm in. I think I have J.M. Robinson either 3 or 4, somewhere around there.
And even coming into this game, I still thought Northwest was about 12th to 15th. I mean, that's a very solid team as well.
Game I want to talk about is Hickory and Bandy's. I knew Bandy's had a good team, and we know Hickory's loaded. Did anybody see that? Think that it could, the final score would be in overtime, Hickory winning?
I know it's 47-45 final. I saw a comment that Coach Glass made on his social media, and he said it was one heck of an ugly win, but he said he'll take it.
I mean, Bandy's is a good program.
Really good
program.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, beginning of the season, I think I had Bandy's like 6th or 7th in the 4A.
And I think Bandy's, we're still in 25, but just to kind of project a year out, I think Bandy's is on the early end of a multiple year run of being really good. So I think this Bandy's team is only going to get better. Their JV team was excellent again this year. I think they were undefeated on JVs last year. That Bandy's program is only going to get better.
Newton Conover beating Maiden 19-13.
Newton
Conover's they've had some impressive wins this year.
They've had a good season so far. With that, yeah.
I sat down with Coach Matt Wilson before the year started and looked at some of his guys. I mean, they have played. They are like the cardiac kids. I mean, they have won like a ton of 2, 3, 4 point games. But every close game, if they're in a close game, I'm going to put my money on Newton because they have found a way to win a ton of close ball games.
One of the things programs have to do is know how to finish. And finishing I've seen it kill one team 3 times this season, not knowing how to finish. So good football teams, you can be good for 3.5 quarters. But if you don't finish a game, and that's winning close games is showing that you know how to finish. Mm-hmm. And Hickory, Coach Glass can say they played it was an ugly win, but still they finished. And, figuring out a way to finish in what you consider to be an ugly game, which could be ugly also because the other team helped make it ugly for you. But that's always a big thing. Those are some impressive games, I think. There's a lot of good games there tonight.
West Iredell, I mean, that's one of the most improved teams in the state this year, and beating Bunker Hill 70-24. I mean, Bunker Hill, a couple of years ago, didn't they beat Reesville?
Yeah, Bunker Hill really down. I mean, they graduated so much talent. Coach Reed does a great job, but they were just down some men this year. But nonetheless, they're still an exceptionally well-coached team. I mean, those kids are always lined up in the right place and playing solid football despite the deficit in some talent. And that's still a really good win. Hats off to Coach Fitzgerald. Kind of like I said with Bandy's, I think they're on the early end of a multiple-year run. I could say the same for that West Iredell team.
Exactly. They will get some more scores in the Charlotte area up here. Here we go. Let's look at this one a bit. Shelby Burns, 36-35, rivalry. Big rivalry game.
Exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Stuart Kramer, they've had a pretty good end of the season run here. I mean, a few weeks ago they beat Lincolnton. Kramer, you think they're a team that might make a decent run in the playoffs?
I think so. Stuart Kramer, that's an interesting I'm going to pull them up real quick and make sure I'm looking at some of these scores. That's an interesting case study to look at them. They were a huge benefactor of going down to the 4A in the reclassification, and got moved out of the Big South. There's a huge difference in going against Crest and South Point and Ashbrook and Hunter Huss and Forest View week to week to week to week to week, and being the smallest team in that mix. And now all of a sudden lining up against, the West Lincolns, the Lincolntons, the Shelbys, the Burns. I think much more competition suited for where they're at realignment wise. But you look at those games, and Coach Simmons that came down from the from Starmount, worked with Coach Lloyd, came down from the Starmount system. He came in, changed up the offense, a lot more like what Starmount would look like, running the ball, just really, really solid on the offensive side. And you look at it, they're averaging 37 points a game. And really starting to click at the right time. And now the defense is coming on strong. That is a team, depending on what the draw looks like in the 4A, and I think the 4A is very manageable. That is a team that I think could win a game or two or maybe even three.
Of all the classifications, I can see a dark horse coming out of the 4A probably more than any other classification, just because I think Brevard in the West, and probably I think Reedsville will go East. They're probably might be your favorites, but there's much room for dark horses, both in the East and the West. Let's see, some team over in New London beat Union Academy. South Stanley beats Albemarle, and Thomas Jefferson beats Bonnie Cone.
Some team in
South Stanley's a good team. That's a really good team.
Some of us do know where New London is.
Yeah, I've spent some time there.
I was just there the other day.
Good old New London.
Too bad Pat and Mix ain't still there.
Yeah, same thing for John or Jay's, not Jay's, but John's Tavern.
John's Tavern. Jay's is still down there, heading towards Norwood, right?
Yeah, that the downtowner is still open. The one that was heading towards Norwood burned down about a year ago. So,
Man, I didn't know that.
I worked at that Jay's down there.
Who is Ambassador Christian? I really don't know anything.
Okay, so Ambassador Christian is a team based up there in Huntersville. I know they got a great alliance with I believe it's with Joe Gibbs. Maybe his son Jackson.
Oh, it's the Joe Gibbs thing. That's
yes. And they're working to really build that into an IMG like program where it's going to be a boarding school, and they're going after some top talent. I think that is where that program is going to end up because of how their rules and stuff. They're not allowed to play in the NCISAA, so that's why they kind of play a hodgepodge of different teams. But boy, I'm going to tell you what, they are really, really good. I talked to the coach at one of the media days over at Harding and just chatted with him for a second, looked at those young men he had on the team. That's an impressive group of kids, and they're only going to get better.
I see they beat South Point, and I do remember we talked about this.
And
there's not this is South Point without this is North Carolina. Metrolina Christian did beat Hickory Grove Christian 27-7. I did get a final on that.
All right, perfect.
So maybe we can look at some of the scores in Raleigh and see what we got going on there. Oh gosh, let's see here. Leesville Road, Broughton. I thought that was going to be a close one. I just thought it'd be maybe a 28-21 score. 14-7.
That one, just the score itself, not the fact that Leesville won. Leesville's a really good football team, and they run the ball, they play defense, all the things that you want to see a playoff team do. Broughton's a lot better than the record. Broughton's a really solid team. They run the wing tee. They can score a bunch of points on the ground really quickly. So I wasn't surprised that was a closer ball game, but I don't think I saw 14-7.
Right. Clayton beats Cleveland 20-3. I thought Cleveland would win that game, but I'll tell you what, never discount a Scott Chadwick coach team. 20-3 is a statement win.
Yeah.
No, that
I had Cleveland. I had Cleveland winning that game as well.
I had Cleveland winning that game as well. You think back to it now, they've played each other 15 times, and Clayton's only won the rivalry 4. In fact, going into tonight, Clayton 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Clayton had lost that game 8 times in a row coming into tonight. Some of those by extremely large margins. And those are some exceptionally talented Clayton teams, like some really talented Clayton teams. And that's all Scott Riley teams do. They just win despite all odds. They graduate a ton of talent, don't matter. They win 10 games. You're better than them, don't matter. They beat you. That's just a Clayton team. And Dale, you said earlier, talking about how some teams just don't know how to win. I don't think Clayton knew how to win that game. And even Scott Chadwick told me, he said, until we beat them, you can't say that we're going to be the favorite in that ball game because all Cleveland does is win. But now that Clayton won that ball game, I could see the floodgates opening and that program kind of getting where a lot of people think they should be based off some of the talent they got on that team, because Clayton's probably one of the most talented teams in the East.
Yeah, I agree with you. That Greater New 7A conference. That's a good conference.
That's a bear.
Four really good teams: Clayton, Cleveland, Gardner, and Southeast Raleigh. South Gardner's nothing to sneeze at.
No, I mean for what, a 4-6 team, South Gardner's a really tough team. That's a team that I would be very wary of a higher ranking seed in the playoffs to have to play them.
Right. Fuquay Varina a little bit struggling, although they pretty much held their own against South Gardner. I saw that game last week, and probably the team that struggles the most in that conference by far is Smithfield Selma. They've been struggling for quite a while now. Lee County, Southern Lee. I did not see that score 67-0.
I just chatted with Coach Bordeaux before we came online. Lee County did win that one 27-18. So that's the winner of the Brick City Bowl. That's per Steve Bordeaux. And Lee County's a team. They've won 6 games. They've won the games that they were supposed to win and lost the ones I don't think they had no business winning. They're kind of a young team that was kind of reestablishing an identity after having a good run of talent for a couple years in a row. And Steve Bordeaux is just such a sharp guy. I see those guys kind of slowly peeling their way, back into the higher levels of contention in that 6A. Didn't necessarily have the JV year. They only won 2 games this year on JV, but they had a lot of young guys up on that varsity, which is why I think the JV record was what it was. But great program.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I was seeing that. I was 67-0. I just didn't see that. We were victim of another score that was reported wrong. I did get a final score on that Harnett Central Triton. It was Harnett Central beats Triton 23-6.
Yes.
Union Pines.
I spoke to both those coaches tonight to confirm that.
Okay. And Union Pines, Brian Till, I'll tell you what, Union Pines wins their first conference title in about 50 years or so. I think it was in the 70s, back when they're in the Central Tar Heel Conference. They beat Western Harnett 62-0. Marins beat Cedar Ridge. That's in my neck of the woods, 50-0.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Union Pines, not only are they just killing it on the, doing a great job there in that conference on Friday nights. Their only loss is a 5-point loss to Pinecrest earlier in the year, a game that they kind of let slip away that I felt like they probably should have won that game. But the JVs are just killing it. The JV teams finished the season 8-1. I had a chance to visit them at practice, gave away a game ball to Player of the Week ball last week. Watched those guys in the weight room. They're big. They're physical. They have very much adopted the mentality of their head coach, Brian Till. That Union Pines team, I think they're going to be really good for a long time.
I'm glad to hear that. Brian Till, he's a class act. He's done a great job everywhere he's been.
Hate to interrupt, but I got a stat coming in here. Dale, this is another guy we might want to consider for your show on Wednesday, and definitely Langston if you're listening. But Mason Lovino tonight in the loss to Marvin Ridge. Rushed the ball 37 times for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns.
37 times.
Yeah,
Man,
that's Cuthbertson's running back, Lavino.
Oh my gosh, it's like someone did a Brian Hells on them.
So let me tell you something. A friend of when I used to work for a Japanese company, and one of the Japanese guys was asking me to explain football and explain what it was like to play football. And what I did was I said, see that wall right there? What I want you to do is get about 3 to 5 feet away from the wall. Then I want you to run into the wall as hard as you can. And I want you to press against the wall for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then you can release, step back, and then I want you to do it again and again and again. I said, that's about the best explanation I can give you. Carrying the ball 37 times. As somebody that carried the ball, no, I was not a star or anything. But you get hit, and you don't just get hit by one person. That's the thing. You may get hit on one play by 4 different guys. It's brutal. And 37 times? Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So yeah, that kid that needs to get potentially nominated for one of the players of the week.
Yeah, no kidding. What's that Griner likes to call it? An ice bath game.
An ice bath game. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Let's see, we got some more Raleigh area scores.
Let me ask Chris a question. Chris, didn't you post last night from X when you were sending us some questions?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, that was on.
I'm just reading it. I'm just reading down at the bottom. It says YouTube and Facebook, but X people can post as well.
Yeah.
Swine Valley 283. I still love that. The name of that.
I love Swine Valley. That sounds that's
perfect,
right down my alley.
That's the perfect name for that area. James Keenan 28, Wallace Rose Hill 21. That is a big rivalry game.
Yeah, I love going down there. I've been to games at both stadiums. I consider Legion Stadium, Jack Colley Field, right there at Wallace, to be the Fenway Park of North Carolina high school stadiums. I mean, it is the most unbelievable experience. And even over there at Keenan, you know, there's only about 7, 8, 9 rows worth of bleachers, but the way everyone just congregates 4, 5, 6, 10 deep around all corners of the field because there's no bleachers to sit in for those games is just incredible. The players are right on, or the fans are right on top of the coaches, the players, the benches. It's incredible.
Exactly. Just out of curiosity, I just got a text from my father. He sent me a picture of the Tar Heels and the Bell. I forgot Carolina was playing tonight. Anybody got a score on that Carolina-Syracuse game?
I forgot about them.
Okay, yeah.
I hate to.
I'm not going to look at it.
I say that sarcastically. I'm kind of struggling with UNC football right now. Carolina beat them 27-10.
Oh, wow.
As everybody knows, I'm not a Tar Heel fan, but I feel your pain. I don't like it either. I don't like your situation at all.
I would rather lose with class any day than what they're dealing with. I hate to say it. I mean, I understand it's where the business of college football is going, the NIL, you know, that's for the birds. So not the NIL, but the transfer portal. But, you know, I get it. It's here. I mean, I'm not the get off my lawn kind of guy, but I just don't like the optics of it. You know, his granddaughter, girlfriend, whatever, you know, I'll pass.
Yeah, that's you know, kind of give you an idea. Belichick is, I think, 19 years older than I am, and his girlfriend is the same age as my daughter.
She could be my daughter. There's no question.
Yeah.
You know, I'm usually a fairly open-minded guy, but sometimes there's that bridge that's just too far for me.
Well, I'm going to say this, you know, I just set that aside. That's not my issue. My issue is how she interfaced with the program.
She knows what she's doing. I can tell you, she knows what she wants. So
yeah, exactly.
I will leave it at that.
It's the personality issue that I have with it.
Anyway, we can.
Yeah, the optics are not good for you guys. But,
exactly. But anyway, we got Carolina basketball. Oh wait, we got women's soccer. Yeah, women's soccer. We're a women's soccer school. Oh, I think we've gone through the North Carolina Raleigh. Maybe we can hopefully get some. Oh, here we go. Got some state scores here. Ashboro, I tell you what, I've seen Ashboro and Southern Guilford play this year, and Ashboro is the real deal. They beat Southern Guilford 37-0. How about that Cape Fear Scotland score? I just saw that for the first time.
That was a game. I had a chance to chat with some of the Scotland coaches, and Cape Fear is just so dominant running the ball, so big up front. Quarterback, running back combo. We featured Ty Phillips, the running back, on Talking Preps last week. Geronimo, the quarterback. I mean, so big. And Scotland's really good. I mean, Scotland is really, really, really good this year. And I don't want to downplay that. And I say that just to say Cape Fear, they're 9-1. They did pick up a win via forfeit. They're really 8-2. But nonetheless, that's a really good football team.
That's a good win for them.
Exactly. And they also both played for the championship of the JV conference last year as well. So I think both of those two teams are going to be around for a while. Scotland is, again, another one of those teams, I think, on the early end of a couple-year run of kind of getting a little bit back to where you expect Scotland to be.
I always like rivalry games, and I always thought that Conley-Rose should be a rivalry game, and it probably is one to a certain degree, but it's not one we don't really talk about it. And Conley beats Rose tonight, 42-28. I think Rose over the years have had Conley's number, but good win for Conley. Over in the Smoky Mountain Conference, Hayesville beats Andrews 55-14.
Hey, don't be surprised if Andrews is still a team that makes some noise in the 1A West.
I mean, yeah, it's 1A, you got 24 teams. Probably 21 of them will actually play in the playoffs, is my guess. Maybe 20. It's most of those teams are under. They don't have many players on the team. Not much depth at all. No depth at all, I should say.
Our scrolling thing got updated at the bottom. Just
okay.
I think the X comment must have been heard.
Still want to. I think that score second down is wrong. I think Franklin won that game 24-14 instead of 34-14. But still, I can't say enough good things about Franklin. I saw them earlier in the year. They are as solid and as physical a running football team as I've seen all year. They dominate on JVs. They're a really, really young team on varsity, sophomore, junior heavy. I think Franklin's going to be around for a couple years, big time on the 5A stage. So that's a team to kind of circle and just keep your eye out for a strong run here this year in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Wanted to talk a little bit about that Wilson County rivalry, Hunt versus Fike. Hunt wins 43-34. Hunt's had a pretty good year this year. I know that they finished second in their conference to Northern Nash, but Hunt, is this a team on the rise, or is this just going to be like maybe a 1 or 2 year thing for Hunt? Do you know, Chris?
I don't know if I'd say they're a team on the rise. I think they're here and on the here and now and doing a great job. One of the things, and I can't say this for certain just because I haven't really dove into their stats here tonight leading into this show, but I was under the impression that they picked up a few of the kids back on their team that had moved back to their school from Wilson Prep. I'm not sure if that's the case. I think one of the defensive end, edge rusher, and they were really solid on JVs this year. Sometimes JVs matter, sometimes it doesn't, but I just think that they are a solid program, and I do feel like they're getting better. And you look at some of the games they played, and they're winning and being in games that they hadn't been in previous years. So I think that shows you that the health of their program is definitely pretty good right now.
Good to hear. Okay, let's see here. I'm just looking around a little bit more here. Lexington beats Lefford 29-17.
Yeah, I was just because our text messages that we, had going back and forth earlier today, Lexington got brought up. And
right.
Did Thomasville play tonight?
Yeah, Thomasville got beat 31-9 to Providence Grove.
Oh.
Wow.
See, that's another program that I just would like to see back doing better. I was a Thomasville fan. There are a couple of schools around the state that I'm kind of a fan of. I've been a fan of Kings Mountain for a long time, but they always let me down. Thomasville is just kind of falling off.
Got some more scores here on this one.
Yeah.
Northeast Guilford beats Eastern Guilford 21-13. I tell you what, that's a good conference. That Northeast Guilford, Eastern Guilford, Southern Guilford, Ashboro. A lot of teams are very close together in quality. I don't know how many. I think probably Northern Guilford probably won that conference. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I imagine there's probably a logjam of teams finishing tied for second or something like that with 2 losses.
Yeah, Northeast Guilford, solid. I had a chance. I was actually on campus and watched those guys. 2 days ago, I was up there. Jeremiah Deese is a guy that sticks out to me. Last week, he had 19 tackles in their victory over Ashboro. He's a steal for Old Dominion. That Northeast program, I know they got some kids from the Dudley program. They got some coaches from the Dudley program. But that's a team that I think, depending on how the draw looks, because I know 6A is a little bit more competitive and 5A is a little bit tightly compacted. But I think that they'll be. I think they're a tough team.
Kinston, they had a good game against Tarboro, 42-35. That got my attention because losing to Tarboro by 7 is one thing. Scoring 35 points against Tarboro is another thing. That surprised me on both of those fronts.
Kinston does the one thing that Tarboro does not see, and that's throw the ball with precision. They got Terrence Copper there on the outside at the receiver. They got a great quarterback. They got 2 or 3 receivers. Coach Ryan Gieselman does a great job of spreading the ball out and doing something that most of the teams in Eastern North Carolina don't do very well, and that's throw the ball and scheme it really well. With that being said, Tarboro's still sound. They're physical. They're really good. So for Tarboro to be able to outlast Kinston and hang in there, that told me something about their resolve and their ability to win a close game. Because if you think back about 5 years ago, the one state championship game that Tarboro lost, they lost to a team that could spread them out and throw the ball in East Surrey. So that shows me that that Tarboro coaching staff has done a great job. Now, speaking of them, though, I don't see a Tarboro loss coming in the coming years. They played a very aggressive JV schedule this year and just absolutely wiped the floor, 10-0, beating a lot of 3A, 4A, 5A teams on JV. So that Tarboro team, I think, is here for a long time.
Northern Nash beats Rocky Mount 31-18. That Nash County football is a fun county to watch over the years.
Gosh. Northern Nash is really, really good. They got a linebacker named Jesse Wade. I like him a lot. Just the way he can step back, and he's a linebacker that can play the run, but it can also just step back in coverage. I watched him pick a pass off in the end zone to beat, I think it was Rose week 1. So that's another team that's just first class. And to watch the ascension of that Northern Nash team over the last few years, Coach Andrew Ferris, that whole team, they dominated on JVs this year too. That does matter sometimes. So another really, really good program.
We just had a commenter mention that Watauga beat St. Stephen's tonight, 28-18. Alan Graff.
St. Stephen's is a good team. That's a good team.
St. Stephen's is really good. That in my opinion, that's the toughest game Watauga's played all year. And I knew that tonight was going to be a tough night. And I didn't think St. Stephen's necessarily was going to try to win it, but I knew that it was going to be a tough night.
Pasquotank beats Northeastern 21-14.
Man. Yeah. Wow. That is that's a big one. I can't say that I saw that one coming. I really didn't. I know Northeastern, they've been banged up all year. They've been a little down at times, exceptionally talented. But Pasquotank is having a generational year for that school. I know it's only a 15, 18-year-old school gym, or 19 year. I can't remember the year they opened, early 2000s, maybe 01. Yeah. But this is the best year they've ever had, and incredible.
Yeah, a long time ago there was Pasquotank Central. This goes back to like 65, 66, and I think Pasquotank County might have opened in 2001, if I remember right. So very good win there. Northeastern's had trouble scoring some points. Usually you think of Northeastern, you think about them scoring 40, 50, 60 points even. And they've had better defenses this year, or at least they've.
And the other team up there, just kind of give some love to the northeastern part of the state. And hey, I see we got a guy on here. We got Harry Nostrand, who is does the voice of the Statesville Greyhounds on the radio most weeks, but he was at that Lake Norman Mooresville game. Harry, you think you could give us some insight on that game? That was an incredible one.
Yeah, you see these two teams play so many times, and you just expect good football games. I think I heard you guys talking about previous matchups. Mooresville's been able to come out on top of quite a few of those matchups, but there's been some really good football games. Going into this one, obviously there's a lot on the line, conference championship, playoff seedings, all that good stuff. And if you haven't seen either one of these teams play, they at times can be very exciting to watch. Lake Norman's got an excellent quarterback in Caden Kraft, sophomore quarterback, picking up a lot of Division I offers, and he's definitely a kid you're going to end up seeing playing on Saturdays. But Mooresville comes into this one, probably favored to win, but they go up 14-0 in the first half. And there was nothing easy about moving the ball for either one of these two football teams. Brody Norman, the quarterback for Mooresville, throws an interception. Caden Kraft, the next possession, also throws an interception. Two defenses that just were truly battling each other. 14-0 at halftime. Mooresville with a nice lead. Come second half, Lake Norman came fired up, scores 21 unanswered points to take the lead let's say midway through the fourth quarter. And 21-14, Mooresville gets the ball back, goes down, kicks a field goal to make it 21-17 with about 7.5 minutes left to go in the game. And then Lake Norman executes a really well thought out offensive drive, driving deep down into Mooresville territory to about the 25-yard line with just over 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Picked up some big first downs on some fourth and short conversions, and they get another fourth and about 4 from the 25. And Coach Oliphant elects to go for it on fourth down. If they get the fourth down conversion, they essentially seal the deal. Mooresville has no timeouts remaining. They rolled the dice there, and Mooresville's able to get the big fourth down stop to get the ball back with minute 50 to go. And I got to tell you, Brody Norman had probably one of the gutsiest 2-minute drill game-winning drives I've seen out of a high school quarterback in a long time. Again, minute 50 to go, no timeouts, drives the ball down the field, combination of his legs, his arms, making some great plays both ways. And with 10 seconds to go from 11 yards out, throws a 50-50 ball to his number one receiver, Dominic Marin, in the corner of the end zone. Marin goes up, brings down the reception for the go-ahead touchdown. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. Sounds like a great game. And the energy, the excitement, the crowd, the photos I saw on the video we had posted here was incredible. Tell us about just the vibe of that game.
And you guys have seen a lot of high school football. I know you've seen some great rivalry games and just been to some electric atmosphere. Mooresville Lake Norman never disappoints. I've seen it at both stadiums, at Joe Pop and at Lake Norman. These two fan bases come out. This is a healthy rivalry. I think they capped the ticket sales, from what I heard, at about 5,000. I don't know if they completely sold those out, but I can tell you the Mooresville side was completely full. They had temporary seating brought in that was also being used. The Lake Norman side, which if you guys have been to a game at Lake Norman, is a pretty big home side. It was, I would say, close to 80 to 85% full as well. Listen, these student sections, they get into it. there's booing, there's cheering, there's everything. But at the end of the day, it's those sort of atmospheres that make high school football on Friday night fantastic. They are two fun fan bases that really pour a lot into their team, especially in this rivalry game. And I think both teams were feeding off the energy. I'm gonna tell you, there was a good bit there in the second half. Lake Norman really got some momentum going again. They scored 21 unanswered, and that crowd was raucous. I mean, you want to talk about a tough place to play if you're the opposing team, especially in a rivalry game. It got that way in the second half, and I got to tell you, second-year coach Zach Mayo for the Blue Devils really has done a good job there. I mean, listen, Joe Nixon also before that did a really good job and set the groundwork for Coach Mayo and his staff. But this Blue Devils team has answered the call outside of a couple. They've had two tough losses. They lost week 1 against Weddington, 31-10, and then they lost to Huff on the road, 28-21. And then after that,
on an onside kick at the end of the game, they had a chance to win that game against Huff.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that Huff game kind of instilled some confidence into this Blue Devils team, but they haven't really faced any adversity since that point. I mean, that was week 4 or 5 of the regular season. So for them to get down in this game and then execute a game-winning drive in the final, 2 minutes of the game, I think says a lot about Coach Mayo, his staff, and the players. I mean, it was the type of game that if you're a high school football fan, it's the one you want to witness.
Wow. You've been around this Mooresville program probably about 15, 18 years. I know you've seen a lot of years. I can remember back, I think it was 2011 that Coach Cap's led team got to the semifinals. I think they lost to Porter Ridge that year. And then, I go back to when I was coaching the South Rowan in 2000, they got to the 4th round. I think they lost to maybe Ragsdale that year when Mike Carter was there. And those were kind of two of the benchmark years that stand out to me with Mooresville. How do you feel what the ceiling could be for this team? I know they're in the Fight Club, 7A. It's brutal, but they've already stood toe-to-toe with Weddington. We know that they stood toe-to-toe with Huff. So we know, I think, in what I've seen a lot of Mooresville football in the last 25, 30, 35 years. This is the best-looking team I've ever seen.
Well, I'll give you the edge of the experience on that because you have seen more of me. I mean, I've been around this program since 2009, and I can tell you on paper this is the best football team I would have thought going into the season, and the best one I've seen since 2009. And I do think if you ask a lot of people that have been around the program for a while, this is probably one of the most complete teams that they've had. I mean, you got Brody Norman under center. You got Gavin Barber at tight end, the App State commit. Dominic Marin, he's got an offer from just about every Ivy League program out there, and then some. It's a well put together offense. Then you go to the other side of the ball. You've got the two guys on the defensive line, KJ Gillespie, and I'm sorry, the other kid's name is escaping my name right now, but committed to West Virginia and Vanderbilt respectively. So this is a very well put together football team, and they're very complete. If they have a weakness, I'd say it's on the back end of their defense in the secondary. But I got to tell you, they went up against a kid tonight in Caden Kraft who's been known to pick defenses apart.
Yeah.
And they stood toe to toe with them for the most part. I mean, the game ended on an interception. This is a really good football team, and you nailed it. 7A is a bunch of heavy hitters, the Grimsleys, the Weddingtons, everything like that. There's going to be whoever comes out of that classification, especially in the West, I think is going to be very well prepared for their opponent in the state championship game.
Well, here's the $1 million question for you. And again, Harry Nostrand, appreciate you coming on. Dooley, Lake Norman High School, notoriously is the hardest stadium and road to get out of. And not to mention everything going on at Highway 150. How long did it take you to get out of the stadium?
One way in, one way out. So I kind of made my way to the parking lot, and Chris, you've been there. I parked in the bus parking lot. That's kind of the secret to getting in and out of Lake Norman as quickly as you can. And I was at the top of the hill and watched the end of that game from the top of the hill. And I got out really quick, actually quicker than I got in. But yeah, if there's probably still people trying to make their way home right now. And Mooresville's not a fun place traffic wise right now. If you've been around Mooresville at all recently, you know that. But yeah, that's there's a lot of people that will avoid going to Lake Norman High School football games because of the one way in, one way out. But listen, for the rivalry game tonight, it was worth a shot, and I managed to survive.
Yeah, good deal, man. Harry Nostrand, appreciate you coming on, man. You're the best giving us that feedback. Jim, Dale, any questions for Harry?
No, he laid it out well. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah, I'm good.
Appreciate you, sir.
All right, fellas, have a good night.
All right.
I think the good thing is that at least some rival games remained for the final game of the regular season. Yeah. Others, like the Richmond Scotland game, had to be played back at the
week
first
2,
part
week
of
3.
The season. Yeah.
Right. It reminded me back in around 2014, 15, 16, whatever it was, when Concord and L. Brown had to play the very first game of the season. That was just awful.
Wearing shorts, exactly. 85 degrees. So something ain't right about that.
Yeah,
exactly. No, that was just totally wrong. But
exactly. So we're about to hit the playoffs. And the playoff, I guess the seeds will be finally determined on Sunday. Do we know what time on Sunday?
Usually their schedules are they'll release at 12. They allow contesting, and they try to finalize by 3.
Yeah.
So I would assume they would hold that same schedule.
Instead of doing it Saturday, they do it on Sunday, which is, it is what it is. So playoff rounds this coming Friday, November 7th, we'll have round 1. That's 1A through 8A. And good news is with 1A and 8A, they do not play on December 5th. Their regional games will be on November 28th because there's less teams in the playoffs. In state finals, UNC Lenore-Ryan and Durham County Stadium. Do we know what is the Thursday night and Friday night games going to be at Carolina?
I was told that the 1A and 8A were at Carolina. That's speculation. I don't know that I've seen anything in concrete, but that's just kind of the scuttlebutt that I had heard.
Right. I'm excited about Lenore-Ryan though. I think that'd be a cool place to
I agree. A little bit further west for my liking for a state championship game, but nonetheless, it should be a great venue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
And Durham County as well.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about Durham County is the parking, and that's the only thing. But the good news with Durham County, though, it's easy to get to, which is not the same thing I can say for Keenan or State or Duke or Carolina,
Yeah.
Or
what is it, Steve? Maybe 11,000?
Yeah, I was going to say about 11, 12,000, 10 to 12,000 or so.
Which is plenty unless there's like some crazy overlap parking, depending on the spacing out of the games.
Well, I know that's one thing I was going to ask about the Durham County Stadium. They can play – that would be a great place to play night games, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing it'll be on Saturday. They'll probably play maybe a game maybe at 3 and one at 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe 11 and 7. So I'm looking forward to it. Guys, it's been about an hour. I just want to – Chris, I'll start with you for any final thoughts for tonight.
Well, man, I think it was a great – first, I'm happy to be able to get on here and share this with y'all. This is y'all's show, and y'all do a great job, and it just kind of lined up. Typically, I'm either, neck deep and trying to get Sweet 16s and rankings done or finding scores, or I'm driving back from a game. So, it doesn't always line up with my ability to get on here with you guys, but you guys are phenomenal. And I'm glad y'all allowed me to come and give you my 2 cents on some things.
Appreciate you, Chris. Dale, as always, tell me your final thoughts. Deep Thoughts by Dale Ross.
First, I'm glad Chris joined us. Chris, you're always welcome.
Thank you, Dale.
Yes, you're always welcome.
Yeah, anything we're doing, you're always welcome. In fact, we'd encourage you to come. I'm sure that the show will do well because of you.
Well, I'm glad we can all three get here and enjoy this time together. We've all been around this block a long time together, and it's good to do it with you.
Yeah, I agree.
So final thoughts. Chris, you just triggered something. When you say we've been around the block, my mind goes back to the old Charlotte Observer forums. If you remember those.
I do. Very, very fondly.
That's where a lot of us came together. There were a lot of people that came together through that community. I don't think Langston realizes how many people actually came together, and then we kind of congregated at North Carolina high school football, right?
NCHSAA.com.
Yep. I mean, I have a couple of shirts.
Which, by the way, just kind of throw it out there. I mean, like the team pages and everything from my website come from that. That was where
right.
we all of that was formed there. But I came across that domain name and it was just out there. Nobody owned it, so I bought it. So I don't know that we'll ever.
Oh, did you?
But okay. I bought
it. Well, cool. I paid for it staying up for a while, but I managed it for a while, but that's cool. I wondered if it kind of disappeared, but this community and people that are watching, I want you to know that there are a lot of people that care about high school football that could be doing other things. And try to bring information to you and try to help make things better. And that was one of the things that we wanted to do here. I kind of had a vision myself of couldn't things be done like Football Friday Night, which went from being a great show to not being able to have the resources and all, I think, to be the show that it was. And
I think they're coming back, though. Nate tells me they'll be next year.
Well, I'm sure that he wants it to be. He's a good guy. I wanted to get him on here too.
Well, I've been on that show. I've been lucky enough to be a co-host on there with him at times. And the problem with CBS and WBTV is the Stephen Colbert show, and they can't preempt the network. And now that show's on the way out, maybe they'll get that slot back.
Yeah, that's one of the sad things is there's certain things that if you're a network affiliate, you must carry at the time that they put it out. So these football shows on Friday nights, I know that my kids, when they played, they always looked forward to it. And of course, being around all the other kids, it was one of the big things. One of my goals had always been to just try to give kids some limelight, even whether they were they're not high recruits or anything, but to give them a stage. And it's kind of good to see a lot of people. Jim doesn't have to be doing this. You don't have to be doing this. I tried not doing this. I've tried so hard to get away from it, and it about killed me. It brought me back. There was a comment that I posted, and I'm sorry if it bothers you guys, you tell me, but I posted in our chat about how cold it was and my hands were hurting. And someone said, go home. They don't know me.
Yeah.
I've stood through colder, and losing weight, Chris, changes how you handle. And I think this too. You've lost weight yourself. it changes how we handle cold. But, Chris, I'm never going to forget the game up at High Point with the wind and the cold and, the Durham Independence at Duke, University.
Hey,
the only time.
That's when you introduced me to Carter Brothers Barbecue at High Point.
Oh, that's right. Man, I love Carter Brothers Barbecue. The only night I've ever seen Tommy Knots not wear shorts. It was that cold that night. And I went up and asked him, no shorts? He said, man, it's cold.
Yeah. By the way, TK update, he beat Aaron Brand, Dutch Fork, 28-21 tonight.
Oh, wow. So
I was looking
one
at
of the
picks here.
Yeah, Chris, one of the things I like to do every week is just let people know how we did and what we picked this week.
Not too good for me.
Chris, no, I give you credit. You went out on a limb. I don't know that you went out on a limb because honestly, that game, in my opinion, was almost a toss-up. And I had thoughts going through my head. Well, can Olympic finish? Finish has been a big thing for me this year after watching a very good Palisades football team not finish against Clover, not finish against Independence, and not finish against Providence, and had all games won. So I got to thinking, well, can Olympic finish? Because this is going to be a tough game. So you got nothing to be ashamed about picking Hickory Ridge because, quite honestly, they could have won. It was that close of a game.
Yeah. Hickory Ridge is an up-and-coming team. I think Brandon Gentry's doing a great job. So keep an eye out on them here in the coming years.
Here's the problem with the picks this week, though. Only two picks, out of all of these, 6x5, 30 picks, only two picks were different.
I know.
Than the group. The group was dead on 28 picks. We all picked the same thing. And then two people, I don't know if Gary felt like they could win. I wanted them to win. Yes, I'm a West Met grad. Somebody sent me a message the other day. Well, not somebody. Everybody here knows Alan Drum. Alan sent me a message. You going to Garinger? No, I'm not going to the Garinger West Met game. Because, honestly, I'd probably, spend all my time on the Garinger side. I would have liked to have seen them win that game.
Yeah. Yep, they're doing it right.
Jim, anything out of these picks you would have done different?
I definitely picked West Mac. I thought the Ardrey Providence game was going to be a close one, but I've taken Providence.
I thought so too, but I actually spoke to a buddy of mine who was at the game, Andy Rodden, who does a lot of work with me, used to coach in Union County, and he told me that game probably could have been 42-14 instead of 28-14. He said Providence was just dominant and control. Very sloppy field, and that probably didn't help things. But he was just really impressed with Providence. They're a tale of two teams this season. They started the team with one look and kind of changed identities, changed quarterbacks midway through. And whatever Wes Ward is doing, he needs to stick with it because that team is looking really, really good.
I can't remember. Was Providence the team that lost to East Lincoln beginning of the season?
Yes, competitively.
Okay.
Yeah, and East Lincoln's losing to East Lincoln's not like that's a bad thing. I was at the Providence Palisades game, and Palisades got up big and was really dominating the game. And we're talking about into the fourth quarter, like the 9-minute mark, 9 to 8 something minute mark. Palisades is dominating the game, and Providence won. And the reason they won is they know how to finish. They never gave up, so they knew they had to finish. They had to finish the game. They couldn't quit. And unfortunately, that's for Palisades. That's kind of what they did. They kind of let up. The players kind of quit. And Providence never quit, Chris. That's what was the marker to that game for me. They never quit. They never bowed their head while they were getting beat, really getting beat soundly, I would say. They never bowed their head. They just kept doing it. They kept, executing, running their plays, players never getting down on each other. And then something turns for them. And now all of a sudden they're able to finish the game. And when you get out of a game, which is what happened with the Providence players, when you get out of anything mentally, it's hard to get yourself back into it at the same.
I just had to go back and look at that score about that East Lincoln Providence. East Lincoln actually won 55-24, which kind of to me shows you how much Providence has improved over the season. So
East Lincoln's a good program.
It's a phenomenal 5A program.
Excellent program. To me, the difference this year in this Providence team versus a lot of other Providence teams, we mentioned that Luke Mader came on. He's a junior, came on and took the reins as quarterback, I think the week before they played Butler maybe, and led them to that victory. We showcased him on Talking Preps midway through the season. But in my opinion, and what do I know? But they can run the ball. And that's one thing that I think Providence has struggled with. And they got Caleb Vines, number 2, I think it is, Caleb Vines, the running back. And that dude is solid. He's another junior. That's a young team. Providence, again, I think they're a team that's going to get better. That you're being able to run the ball the way they can, I think, is a big difference in why they're 7-3 versus maybe 5-5.
Now, we must have people joining right now because we've got 2 new comments in. And just to address them, both of them are about who we'll have in the playoffs, one of them being Ashbrook. We don't know yet, but we got a good idea probably tomorrow once the RPIs are updated so we can see where the RPIs are. And we'll have a show Monday, released on Monday, that will discuss it. The actual brackets will be released Sunday. So
right. We'll figure it out. A lot of things I'm looking at is not really who makes the playoffs, it's really who doesn't make the playoffs, but also who gets the buys in each one of the classifications. So, it's going to be a fun one. I hope I can join you guys on Sunday. I want to join it just to go over the playoffs. I think it'd be fun to go over the brackets with everybody. Well, a lot of stuff to talk about. I say Sunday. That's when we do some recording. But we got a lot of things going on this next week. Please join us, listen to us. Got a lot of opportunities to talk about high school football. It's going to be an exciting week. And the best part of next week is going to be Friday around 7 o'clock because that's when the kickoff starts. So,
I think a note here is the Tuesday Talking Prep show will be Monday.
Right.
Release Monday this week, because of the playoffs. So otherwise, everything will be the same. I'm expecting that Wednesday we will have players again, linemen. I've got a couple lined that I got one that I am pretty confident is going to be coming on. I saw one tonight. You saw in that play the kid being driven through the back of the end zone. I want that kid. So one of the goals has been to feature linemen. So, Chris, if you are around Wednesday, I know Wednesdays are tough for you, but
we'll see what I can do. This is a different week, and this is always a big week, playoff brackets and stuff. I try to do better than him, but I try to channel my inner Mel Kiper. You know how he's always is NFL draft day. He can spit out so much useless information about these guys. And a lot of times when playoffs come, and I know Jim does the same thing, But I just sit here and I bounce text messages off of him all week and you and stuff like that, just about random stuff about teams. But it's weeks like this when you finally start to see those playoff matchups come up that I can spit out all these crazy facts about different teams. So who knows? I might show up. I might be like a bad penny and show up a few times this week.
100%. Well, guys,
I'm a collector of pennies, by the way. So
hey, you better get all you can.
Nickels, dimes, you name it. Well, guys, I think this has been a great show tonight. I appreciate Chris. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and Dale, as always, I appreciate it. I am running out of gas, out of steam. I'm not even working on propane now. I am just on fumes.
Get you a nice cold sun drop. That'll give you all you need.
You know what? I wish I could find sun drop around here. It's hard to find it.
Will they sneak out a bye? We don't know. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow we might know. And
yeah, Chris will get a bye.
Chris was they was asking about Burns getting a bye.
Well, this guy's just hoping Chris gets a bye.
Oh, well, Chris probably will. Yeah. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's meet up again soon. And until then, thank you so much, everybody. Jim West, Chris Hughes, Dale Ross with Talking Preps Friday night. Take care.